Seen anywhere in Africa until it entered Nigeria in 1959. My digital story, 2014. I also had to read some of my colleagues. I did not have the luxury of time to reflect on courses to choose. I arrived at Coventry University late on the last day of registration for September 2014. I also had to register in the department for courses on the last. Everything around me began to happen so fast. Deadline for submission of courses were staring me in the face, and other sundry problems. However, with determination, hard work, and having been inspired by the Phoenix, Coventry University never say die symbol of regeneration, I was able to surmount the obstacles. Of particular interest was the fact that I had to abandon my first class work to go and keep an appointment at the Featureless on accommodation. The next course for me was media research, after which I discovered that most of my classmates already have a working title for their project. This set the alarm in me buzzing again. Having heard and become fascinated with the concept of neoliberalism in one of my earlier classes, it then occurred to me that I could apply it to television in Nigeria. Thus, neoliberalism and the politics of ownership of private television stations in Nigeria was birthed. I have been able to nurture the topic over a series of coursework submissions since then, to the point that I am keen on going on with the topic for my dissertation, all things being equal. Research has shown that neoliberalism may have started in Chile under the military ruler Agustin Pinochet. However, it was in the United Kingdom under the regime of Margaret Thatcher and that of United States under Ronald Reagan that neoliberalism blossomed. It sought that under Ronald Reagan that neoliberalism blossomed and became a sought-after philosophy across the world. Historically, Nigeria obtained her independence in 1960 from the Great Britain. Therefore, fashioned a lot of her policies and systems after her colonial master. Judiciary, education, television, among others. So just like British television started as government-owned and controlled by the Public Broadcasting Service, a government agency, similar scenario existed in Nigeria. Television entered Nigeria and indeed Africa through the western region of Nigeria, led by the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who on October 31st, 1959 launched a television station at Ibadan, the headquarters of Western Region Government. The television station, Western Nigeria Television, which operated under the Western Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation, brought radio and TV under the same roof. By 1977, the military was already ruling Nigeria, but with all their inadequacies and jackboot administration, the military thought it wise that Nigeria, with the largest population in Africa and one of our biggest economies then, should have more than 12 television stations. Therefore, the military government under General Olusegun Obasanjo took over the regional television station, brought them under the national television station known as Nigerian Television Authority, under the supervision of National Broadcasting Corporation. Military in Nigeria, having tasted power, did not want to leave and therefore transferred power from one military regime to another. General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida assumed power and liberalized the broadcast industry. Babangida signed to law the first private television station in Nigeria, African Independent Television (AIT), and as of today, Nigeria has well over 55 private television stations. Television did not come to Nigeria out of the blues. It came with government desire to globalize the industry by making television in the country align with what is available on CNN, in America and what is available on BBC in the United Kingdom, thereby opening the doors to the concept of neoliberalism. The concept of neoliberalism has been heralded as a success in the USA through the administration of Ronald Reagan and that of Margaret Thatcher, the UK Prime Minister, and the world started scrambling to adopt it. So were some African countries. Neoliberalism will be used to analyze the establishment of private television stations in Nigeria. The concept was defined by Ades 2007 page 5 as process of liberating individual entrepreneurial freedom and within the framework of free trade, free market, and the control of the private sector. He also added that the foremost advocate of neoliberal thought ensured that the political ideal of human dignity and individual freedom are fundamental and that it should therefore be central value of civilization, thereby defeating the hold of fascism, dictatorship, and communism, and enthroning individual freedom over collective judgment in almost all the continent as at that time. However, in order to have a very critical view of the role of neoliberalism in television, it is important to look at it alongside other related concepts such as liberalism, governmentality, modernity, privatization. Also, quantity and quality research methodology, among other concepts, will be considered. Important scholars like Nick Coldrew, Stuart Hall, Tayo Duile, Bertrand Ig, Wimmer, and Dominic, and finally Asabaga, among other relevant authors, will be consulted. Since the above is a research project, the concept of quantitative and qualitative research method will be applied. At this junction, I would like to share some personal experience. I recall quite vividly that after my first essay, I was already contemplating changing the major concept of neoliberalism to globalization because of my perceived lack of material on neoliberalism. Then I received feedback on coursework 1, where I was advised to get David Harvey's book on neoliberalism. There are two basic types of research methodology: quantitative research method, which according to Berger is measuring how great, how much, and how many when we think of number, magnitude, measurement is involved in research. The same Berger, 2011, page 22, talking about qualitative research basically means what kind of quality when it comes to tests carried out by one or two or more media involved in the matter, such as text, properties, degree of excellence, and distribution character. Under qualitative research, interviews were conducted with questions in semi-structured format because of its obvious advantage, which allow the researcher some level of flexibility. Since the concept of neoliberalism did not take deep root in Nigeria's political scene, it therefore occurred to the writer that private television stations in Nigeria may not therefore be exhibiting full features of neoliberalism. It therefore raises the question, what concept truly represented what happened in private television stations in Nigeria? Since the concept of neoliberalism did not take deep roots on the political scene of Nigeria, it therefore occurred to the writer that the private TV station in Nigeria may not, after all, be exhibiting the true features of neoliberalism. It therefore raised the question, what concept truly represents what happened to private television station in Nigeria? The quest finally led the writer to privatization, which is more fitting to the actual situation in Nigeria. Therefore, the features and characteristics of privatization will be used to measure the current state of private television stations in Nigeria. In conclusion, therefore, all the courses I have taken since my arrival at Coventry University have combined with this innovative digital story to broaden my knowledge and understand this is my digital story. Can you tell me yours, please?